On the night of July 19th, 2023, desperate cries were heard emanating from Barry Schmalbach's condo in Cape Coral. In the days that followed, no one saw Barry. Messages sent from his cell phone were at first odd, then they ceased entirely. Barry's boyfriend, his closest friends, and his family spoke with police. Though by the time investigators began retracing his steps, it seemed it was too late. Hi there, I'm Kevin and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. Today's case is about a man who worked hard, made lifelong friends, and then met a terrible fate. It's a harsh reminder to be cautious about who you let into your life. Sometimes people are not as they seem. Let's take a look. Cape Coral is a quaint coastal community in southwest Florida. With over 400 miles of waterways, its extensive canal network has earned the city the affectionate nickname, the Venice of America. 56-year-old Barry Schmalbach relocated from Naples, Florida to Cape Coral in 2022, purchasing a corner condo unit in a welcoming building on Beach Parkway. Years before, Barry had left his role as vice president and head of the buying department for paper goods and equipment at a restaurant supplier in Chicago, Illinois. In Florida, he started his own business and experienced continued success. But now, he could also enjoy more of the sunshine. Barry had done just that. He was close with his neighbors, often spending time together at the communal pool. The group was so involved in each other's lives, they joked that the building was just like the old TV show, Melrose Place. In recent months, they had a new addition. Barry's new boyfriend, 35-year-old Christopher Davis. Christopher moved in with Barry after just a couple of months. They met at a Cinco de Mayo party hosted by a mutual friend. However, by late July, their whirlwind romance was already on the rocks. Miguel Blanco, one of Barry's longtime friends in Cape Coral, awoke on the morning of Thursday, July 20th, 2023, to find a voicemail that Barry had left him the night before. The timestamp of the message was 8:21 p.m.
Hey, it's me. Give me a call. I need your help. I need to get rid of this idiot because I can't take it anymore.
Miguel returned Barry's call but received no answer. His next call was to Christopher. It seemed obvious from the frustration expressed in Barry's message that the two had at least been arguing, if not formally ending, their relationship. Miguel assumed Barry needed help moving Christopher out of the condo. But when he checked in, Christopher sent Miguel a screenshot of his last exchange with his boyfriend. The last message read, "I'm fine. I'm staying with friends for a few days. I need some space. Please stop calling me." Blurred out in the messages were an abundance of curse words scattered amongst Christopher's angry demands and pleas to his boyfriend. Miguel and his husband Tom scrutinized the exchange. They had known Barry for nearly 10 years. His response did not strike them as genuine. The two friends agreed, if someone spoke to Barry in an aggressive way, he would give the same energy back. Neither believed that Barry had written that message. Miguel and Tom arrived at the condo building on Beach Parkway the following day to check in on their friend. Barry's Jeep was missing from the parking lot. They found 2 packages addressed to his business outside of his doorway. There was no response when they knocked on the door. Tom and Miguel used the spare key Barry had given them to let themselves into the condo. Inside, they were shocked by the state of the home. Barry was an unfailingly tidy individual. The word most often used to describe his habits was meticulous. Everything had its place. That was not what Miguel and Tom found in the condo that Friday evening. Items sat out. They noted mud tracked around on the floor. Lights had been left on. It was so uncharacteristic of their dear friend that it set off alarm bells. Disturbed, they left the business packages on the counter inside, and the pair left. They went home, and called the police. Miguel and Tom were not the only ones to contact law enforcement. The following morning, Christopher Davis called the non-emergency line.
My boyfriend, I haven't heard from him in a few days. He did tell me that he wanted some space and he needed a few days, but his friends haven't heard from him, and I'm concerned. I wasn't trying to be nosy, but he left his Apple Watch here, and messages have come in. Apparently, he had an Italian dinner with someone last night.
So you said that he had messages coming in last night, so he was on his phone?
I don't know. I don't see what he typed. It's an Apple Watch. A message popped in from a 23 number, and it said, "How did you feel about that Italian dinner last night? How about Chinese tomorrow?"
Okay.
But his other friends have not heard from him. His friend Miguel has not heard from him, and I have not heard from him. He did message me and tell me that he wanted space for a few days.
Right.
And someone came in our house and put packages on the counter, so I think he was here last night because there's packages on the counter, but I don't.
Okay, so I'll have an officer come out and meet with you. It doesn't sound like he's missing if he's still coming and dropping stuff off and having dinners. But what is his name?
Barry Schmalbach.
Can you spell that for me, please?
An officer for the Cape Coral Police Department was dispatched to speak with Christopher. The 35-year-old was simultaneously emotional over his missing boyfriend, while maintaining that there was likely no real reason for concern.
So my boyfriend Barry hasn't been home in a few days. He told me he was going with friends. His friends called me today, said that they haven't heard from him. Now I'm calling. I'm beginning to get in the middle stages of worried. He did leave his Apple Watch here. I just turned it on, and apparently he was having an Italian dinner with someone last night, and I think that things might be taking like a different kind of shape, but he is not responding to me or his friends.
So I saw in the notes, it said that he needed some space. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have like an open relationship, and he's been talking to guys on Grindr and like doing that kind of thing, and so that's what that's what I took the space to mean, and it's because he goes out of town all the time. And if you want to look at my phone, I can show you. He's done this 3 or 4 times, where he's
Christopher showed the officer previous messages between himself and Barry, which he suggested showed that this behavior was not atypical of his boyfriend. Nonetheless, he thought he should file a report.
And then if you look here, if you want to go back, you can see where he's ghosted me before.
What day was this?
4 days. This one right here.
Yeah, well, what is all that? Is that from yesterday?
No. This is from another time. This is from about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Where he did this same thing, which is why I did initially freak out, but he's happening more and more frequently, and I don't know if he's got maybe he's got a drug problem, or like you said, he does business from home. I don't know.
Okay.
And so he leaves and goes. He was just in Wisconsin for 2 weeks. He was in Los Angeles San Diego for 2 weeks. He was just in Chicago before that.
Okay. So when is the last time that
if you look and see, this is what I'm saying, is this has happened.
Is this all you?
Yeah, this is all me.
Okay, he's not responding back.
Yeah, so that was on July 5th.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying, is this happens all the time.
Okay.
And so I don't know what to do, but I wanted to go ahead and file a report because his friends are now saying that I need to, because he's not responding to them. And friends.
Christopher then pointed to communication that came through Barry's Apple Watch, which he had inexplicably left at home. Those messages suggested he had been out recently having dinner with an unknown companion.
So this is what I found. Everybody's messaging him, where are you, where are you, where are you, and then this came up.
Let's see.
And this was, I'm sorry. And this was yesterday.
How did you feel about the Italian dinner yesterday at Bobby Mike's Trail as a Jersey place that oaks at night?
And he does have his cell phone with him?
Yes. But yeah, so I was on my way to Walmart today, and his friend called and was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Nothing, on my way to Walmart." He was like, "Where's Barry?" And I was like, "I thought Barry was with you." Because that's what he meant, because that's what I thought he said when he said he was going to go stay with friends.
Right, right. You said he does go out of town?
He does right out of town, yeah.
All right. Is his vehicle here? Did he take his vehicle?
No, he didn't take his vehicle, but he never takes his vehicle.
Does he like an Uber or something like that? Does
Yes,
he go to the airport?
yes. Every time he goes to the airport, every single time, he never takes the car out of town.
Given the circumstances, the officer agreed that they did not need to follow through with a formal missing persons report right away. Since there appeared to be communication from Barry recently, Christopher was advised to wait a day or two.
Technically,
But he knows that I tried to mess with him. The freaking argument that we got into was because I turned
and it could be.
find my iMessage on his phone because I thought he was chill.
And it
So
could
he
be.
left it here to be an asshole.
It could be. I mean, like I said, I don't know what you all do and what type of relationship you got or anything like that, but it seems like he needed some space. He wanted to head out. He maybe didn't want to talk to anybody around here for a while. And obviously, from the looks of it, he should be back. He left all his stuff. Okay. Yep. But like I said, I can document it that I did talk to you. Do you have a driver's license?
I do have to find it.
Christopher failed to locate his driver's license for the officer, but did provide him with information. Born in Homer, Alaska, Christopher provided the birth date of June 9th, 1989.
You go by Chris or Christopher?
Christopher.
Christopher, what's your middle initial?
G.
And date of birth?
6/9/89.
And out of Alaska, you said? You out of Florida?
No, Alaska.
It is Alaska?
Yes.
Last name is Davis?
Yes.
Okay, it's not coming back. Middle initial G? Did you change the name or anything like that?
No.
I mean, it is a popular name. I mean, Davis is popular, but. Well, anyways, like I said, Christopher, give it a little bit of time. Like I said, he needed space.
I will call back on
Sorry.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, you can do that because it's going to show a little.
Police would later determine that Christopher Davis's real date of birth is June 8th, 1988, not the date he gave and verified to the officer that day. Had he provided the correct information, they would have immediately discovered that he was wanted on 2 active arrest warrants, one in Georgia for a probation violation for fraud, and another in South Carolina for a probation violation for larceny. It was Miguel and Tom who insisted a missing persons report be filed that day. After they did so, police returned to the condo to speak with Christopher. He told them that he witnessed Barry leaving in someone else's vehicle, possibly an Uber, 2 days before, on July 20th. However, there was further reason to doubt this assertion. Barry had recently experienced some health issues and had an ongoing heart condition. Following his recovery from a serious heart attack, Barry had taken a series of steps to ensure his well-being. First, he began walking every morning, rising at 5 a.m. and covering 5 to 6 miles on foot each day. He also changed his diet, lost a significant amount of weight, and began taking medication. Inside the condo, investigators found Barry's heart medication. Inside of a backpack near to his desk, they also found his passport. Then, crucially, in a wallet containing Christopher Davis's driver's license, they retrieved a handful of credit cards, each one under the same name, Barry Schmalbach.
He was standing over there by the pool, and all the cops were here, and I was like, hey man, what's up? He's like, hey, and I'm like, you know what's going on? And he said, yeah, they're searching my condo. And I was like, ooh, that's no good. And he said, yeah, my boyfriend's missing.
It's been 7 days. No contact with anybody for 7 days. That's not normal. For anybody that's even upset, that's not normal not to contact anybody for 7 days.
It was Wednesday, July 26th, when police launched a formal investigation into Barry's disappearance, calling the circumstances suspicious.
So this is the reason why we're holding the news conference today, is because this is abnormal behavior. So that being said, him not contacting his family is not something that he normally would do. So that's why it's going to be a heightened missing persons case, and that's why we're here today.
The last verifiable sighting of Barry was 1 week prior, on Wednesday, July 19th, the same day he left the voicemail on Miguel's phone. That night, Barry had also been in contact with a close friend in Chicago, Rosalie Falico. At just past 6 p.m., he wrote to Rosalie, "I am at the bar with my BF, but I am so done with this BS. Please call me tomorrow. I miss you so much."
This is my best friend of 40 years. His name is Barry. He lives in Cape Coral, Florida. I think I was the last message that he had on July 19th. He was out at a bar on Wednesday, the 19th of July. I'm sure in Cape Coral.
Barry was spotted with Christopher that evening at Cruiser's Lounge, a local gay bar. Witnesses at the bar reported that the couple appeared to be having a disagreement. It came to an end when Barry paid the tab and walked out of the building. Christopher was chasing after him. Cameras captured the couple walking home just before 8:30 p.m. Barry in the blue shirt and Christopher in black. Barry must have left his voicemail for Miguel during the walk. The cameras placed the couple back in the condo by 8:30. At around that time, from the unit just below, Barry's neighbor Kimberly reported hearing noises. She later described them as someone being tossed around. A voice cried out, "No, no, no," followed by a muffled whimper. She said later that she felt she had been listening to someone take their last breath. The sounds were so disturbing that they sent chills down her spine.
Why didn't they call the police? I mean, if you hear, yeah, I'm really upset about that too. They should have called the police. Or somehow, oh, hey, we can hear you down here. Maybe it would have stopped them, I would have called the cops or banged on the wall and said, hey, I can hear you down here. Something, to startle him out of the state that he must have been in when he did this to my brother.
The last message Rosalie received from Barry that night had been only minutes before the neighbor heard the disturbing noises coming from inside his condo. That last message read, "It's okay, I love him. He's a knucklehead, but I can't wait to speak to you. I've had a few." Christopher Davis left the condo on Beach Parkway at 9 p.m. that night. He drove Barry's Jeep to a local Walmart where he was captured on camera using cash to purchase a plastic 12 by 24 foot tarp alongside 2 rolls of duct tape. He also bought a chocolate milk. The next morning, he made his regular stop at Starbucks, telling the barista that Barry wasn't with him because he was busy working. His next stop was at a Lowe's hardware store. At roughly 8:45 a.m., he walked out of the store pushing a new red hand trolley used to move heavy materials. Then he went on a bit of a shopping spree. He goes to Publix where he purchased some fried chicken and an iced tea using Barry's credit card. At Target, he was captured while checking out with a few small purchases, again with Barry's card. At that store, he is shown accessing an ATM. Later that day, a phone call was placed to PNC Bank from someone claiming to be Barry Schmalbach, seeking to have a card connected to his phone. The caller struggled to respond to the security questions, though ultimately had the card connected for his use.
Thank you. And how can I help you today?
I'm just adding my card to the phone.
Let's start by getting your social security number.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Your mother's maiden name?
Jacqueline.
That's your maiden name?
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's been a long night. It's Anderson.
Over the following days, the purchases continued. Gas for the Jeep, further stops at ATMs and bank machines to withdraw cash, and purchases at Walmart. Christopher also searched for aesthetic treatments and booked appointments for cosmetic procedures. 2 days after Barry was reported missing, Christopher spent over $1,400 of his boyfriend's money on Botox, fillers, and a trip to a nail salon for a manicure. Investigators later located some of the items they believed Christopher Davis used to clean up after he had killed his boyfriend inside the condo. They found the packaging for the trolley in the trash at the building, alongside pieces of the newly purchased duct tape. They also found a phone case in the trash that matched Barry's device, but not Christopher's. They did not find Barry's phone. The discovery of this evidence was crucial, because the steps that Christopher took next made it nearly impossible to find what they were really looking for: Barry Schmalbach. License plate readers tracked Barry's Jeep, driving 2 hours east towards Clewiston and Montura in Hendry County. The area is extremely rural, characterized by large green spaces. On his way, Christopher made a few stops. At a Walmart, he got some cash and bought 2 air fresheners, one to hang from the rearview mirror, and the second a spray bottle that was later found in the Jeep's trunk. He also stopped at an Ace hardware store. There, he used cash to purchase a large pickaxe as well as a shovel. Arriving in Montura, Christopher booked a one-night stay in an Airbnb using his brother Tyler's account. After checking in, he told his host that he would be going out for a run. Christopher's cell phone placed him at the Airbnb before the device was powered off for roughly 3 hours. When it came back onto the network, he was no longer at the rental, but about 5 miles away, returning in the Jeep. License plate readers captured a clean vehicle driving out, then a mud-splattered, externally filthy vehicle upon his return. Where exactly he went in this 3 hours, however, could not be determined. He left the Airbnb in a similar state of disarray. Furniture had been moved, mud was on the floor, and an excessive amount of sand in the shower. In over 10 years, the host said they had never seen anything like it. Christopher may have left his overnight rental a mess, but he had cleaned himself up. Over more than 24 hours, he had been captured wearing the same black tank top and shorts that he had worn to Cruiser's Lounge on July 19th. Returning from the Clewiston area on the 21st, however, Christopher had on a new outfit. He purchased some new toiletries and a hot dog. His last stop was at the same Ace Hardware where he had purchased the pickaxe and shovel, but this time he pulled into the back of the store next to a large recycling bin. Into the bin, he began to toss items, including the pickaxe. An employee of the store monitoring the cameras from inside confronted him as he lifted the shovel from the back of the Jeep. Not only was he not permitted to dispose of items in those dumpsters, but he was trying to recycle them. Christopher was prompted to remove the pickaxe. It was left sitting next to the bin as he drove away. It was not until the next day that he called to report Barry missing. Once Christopher's movements had been traced, searches for Barry's body in the Montura area were undertaken. Investigators described the process as looking for a needle in a haystack. They drove out from the Airbnb into the surrounding countryside, attempting to deduce which areas appeared to be accessible from the road. They were looking for any logical indication of where Christopher would choose to pull into the brush. And it was rough terrain. If he had hidden Barry somewhere in the area as they suspected, they expected Christopher to be covered in scratches. As it turns out, he was. On Tuesday, August 1st, Christopher Davis was arrested on his outstanding warrant out of South Carolina and taken into custody by Cape Coral police. 2 days later, his arrest was made public. Police announced they had a person of interest in Barry's case, but failed to name Christopher Davis.
Mr. Schmalbach has not been heard from or seen since the evening of July 19th, 2023, near the 1800 block of Beach Parkway East here in Cape Coral, near his home. At this time, we do have a person of interest. However, I'm unable to name that person today. Our detectives continue to actively pursue all leads and process pertinent evidence in our attempt to locate Mr. Schmalbach.
Eventually, Christopher was extradited back to South Carolina, where he was handed a 5-year sentence for his parole violations. Thankfully, it did not take that long for Lee County prosecutors to seek an indictment for murder. In January, Cape Coral police announced Christopher had been charged with Barry Schmalbach's murder, and they had issued an arrest warrant to have him brought back to Lee County.
This has culminated with the issuance of an arrest warrant for Christopher Davis on 1 count of second-degree murder, 1 count of tampering with evidence, and 9 counts of fraudulent use of personal identification of a deceased individual.
Hearing it and having it confirmed brought a whole new wave of emotions.
I love you so much. I'm so heartbroken that this happened to you. And I'm so sorry. And I miss you. I would just hug him so hard.
Searches for Barry continued. The case against his boyfriend was strong, yet hampered by law enforcement's inability to find him. Family and friends launched a grassroots effort, handing out flyers and accumulating a reward from various anonymous donors, totaling $16,000 for information leading to his location. During this time, police played with alternative theories. They undertook an extensive search of the sewer system near the Beach Parkway condo complex. Christopher reported being the target of attacks by other inmates. Christopher's legal team would repeatedly file to have him transferred to what they called safer conditions than the county jail. His requests were refused, and he went to trial in June 2025.
No.
Those are the last noises that the neighbor heard from Barry Schmalbach's apartment before Barry was never seen or heard from again.
While the state outlined a thorough timeline of the crime through witnesses at the building, surveillance cameras, and Christopher's own lies, the defense tried to create doubt where they could. Since Barry had never been located, it was primarily a circumstantial case. Barry, concerned over his health, they argued, had been keen to have Christopher move in to help take care of him. Despite the fact that Christopher did not work, they had a supportive and mutually beneficial relationship, they argued.
Here at that time, the severe heart issues Barry was having, and the medical issues, and then soon after Chris moves in to the apartment. And here it was very common because Barry was so concerned about his heart issues and medical situation that they got up like super early, 4 or 5 in the morning, and went out walking from all the way. If you see a map, you'll see like Beach Parkway all the way down to where the Starbucks is, and just multiple miles.
The defense asserted that the argument between the couple that night, which formed the basis of the state's theory of motive, was not that serious. Indeed, the bartender at Cruisers, who once dated Christopher, said it wasn't loud or over the top, just a little argument. They asserted that as his boyfriend, Christopher had been given use of Barry's credit cards. Barry's wallet, curiously, had been located days after his disappearance in a storm drain along the path he usually took on his long morning walks. Most of his credit and bank cards, however, had been located in Christopher's wallet. Neighbors at the Beach Parkway complex took the stand. Kimberly, from the unit directly below 303, recalled what she heard the night of July 19th. Noises that she later recognized were those of her friend and neighbor being murdered on the floor above.
I was watching some TV, and between that time, I heard something directly right above my unit where I was sitting, because we had, like I said, had the same floor plans. I heard something being thrown up against the wall and heard, no, no, no.
And did you hear anything after that?
Yeah, a couple minutes later, I heard this noise, and it gave me chills, like the hair on my arms, and it was like someone losing their last breath. And then maybe 10 minutes later, I heard chirp, chirp, which was a car.
Okay.
Someone opening up their car. And I, like I said, I know it had to be around 9 o'clock. And I thought, well, that's weird. There's only 3 of us on my side of the building. And they were one upstairs. And like I said, I know they go to bed early. And Mary was downstairs. She don't go nowhere. And it was me. So I thought, well, it's time for me to go to bed. So I went to the front to lock the door. And as I walked by my window, I thought, let me see who. And I looked out, and Barry's Jeep was missing.
Kimberly was not the only resident of the building to witness portions of this horrific crime. In the early morning hours of July 20th, Brian Job awoke in his unit on the other side of the building to noises from outside. There had been construction underway in the area. At first, Brian thought perhaps teenagers had gotten into the construction zone.
So I went to the front door, opened it up just a little bit, maybe 10 inches, and I heard the plastic. And then within just a few seconds, I saw a person dragging something back into the, where I could see like the back half of them. They were bent over, dragging something, and then I could spot them, their back end.
Brian watched as the individual began carrying items into Unit 303.
He was carrying a black tote with a yellow top, like you see at Sam's or Home Depot.
And did you see where that individual would go?
He went right into the Unit 303.
Okay. And Unit 303, once again, is that Mr. Schmalbach's residence?
Yes.
And were you able to discern whether or not that individual was one and the same individual that was going ahead and pulling that heavy tarp?
It was.
And did that individual, when you saw him once again with the black bin and the yellow top, were you able to discern, by and through what you observed, who that was?
Yes.
Who was that?
Christopher Davis.
When law enforcement searched the building days later, they brought in cadaver dogs. The handler was not informed which vehicle in the parking lot was of interest. The dogs clearly indicated that human remains had been inside Barry Schmalbach's Jeep. In their closing argument, the defense posited a few theories. Perhaps Barry met up with a man from a dating app and things went wrong. Or perhaps Barry had too much to drink that night at Cruisers and was struck by a driver on the walk home. Or maybe he just stumbled into a canal.
And Barry leaves and goes wandering down Beach Parkway, and if you heard, Beach Parkway goes kind of through the river in Cape Coral, and then there's canals all around it. And say someone's coming down Beach Parkway and mows them down because they're drunk too, a DUI manslaughter. Oh my God, my life's ruined. What do I do? Crap. Bury in the car and go. Meanwhile, his wallet fell out and is now in a storm drain. Well, let's get rid of that. Let's blame it all on Chris. Let's infer from the evidence everything. It's all on him, the mastermind here.
The trial was over quickly. Every piece of evidence was presented inside of 4 days. Christopher Davis did not take the stand. The defense called no witnesses. When it came time for the jury to deliberate, they took less than 2 hours.
Verdict. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 1 of the charge. Count 1, second-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of second-degree murder. Count 2, tampering with physical evidence.
Christopher was found guilty of each count. The judge swiftly delivered his sentence, life in prison. Christopher also received an additional 5 years for tampering with evidence, and 5 consecutive years for each of the 8 counts related to credit card and identity fraud for using Barry's identity after his death. The conviction brought some relief to Barry's friends and family. though it could not remove their grief, made worse knowing that Barry has not been found and that they may never locate him.
Our end goal hasn't changed. We want to find Barry, and we are well aware that a lot of these cases go unsolved and there's no resolution, and families are always just left wondering what happened to my loved one. And we are extremely appreciative for all of the work that has been put into Barry's case.
And that was the tragic case of Barry Schmalbach. Thanks for joining me, and a special thanks this week to Amy Gutierrez, FLXRZ, and Life in General for joining our Members Lounge. I'm Kevin. This is Just Thought Lounge, and I'll see you in the next one.
Gotta take my time, cause these crimes get deep, but these stories can't hide. Let me find my seat. Kevin, go ahead and settle in. Gotta be selective, doing all the research, keeping it objective. Always been effective, can say he got a knack. Pick of the litter, you see how Newton got his back. Yeah, the content that you need, this could be a new sign. We talking in the comments, they jotting.